Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. Well, today I am rather excited to share with you my experiences and my full review of this Helm Khuraburi. This one here I was able to pick up on the used market, which was very lucky for me because to be able to buy one of these new is almost impossible, or at least you need to wait a long time. These are held in really high esteem, and that is because they are such good quality watches at such a reasonable price. If you are able to pick one of these up new from the website, they are $345 plus shipping. The only problem is that you're going to have to wait a little while. These guys have such a long waiting list because so many people want one of these watches. I had to check when I put my name down for one of these watches, and I think I was about 3 years on the waiting list. So luckily enough, I was able to pick this one up on the used market. I did end up paying basically full retail for it, but it was in such good condition, basically like new condition, that I was happy to pay that for it. Plus, I just really wanted to own a Helm watch. And as it's turned out, I probably wouldn't have bought this color sort of variation if I'd bought it new, but I'm so glad I did get this color variation because it's now my favorite out of the ones that are available for these Khuraburis. But let's jump into this full review and let me show you why I think it is so justified being on such a long waiting list for one of these watches. Let's flip the camera around and let's check it out. Well, let's talk about my Helm Khuraburi. This one here, this colorway is the 02AR4. That is with the blue and the orange. But let's talk about the packaging first because it is actually really nice packaging for this price tag. It comes with an outer sleeve. And when you lift this one up, it is just cardboard, but it just sort of presents very well. You get some stickers and instructions inside this little pamphlet here. A lot more than what you'd expect, again, at this price range. Comes with a NATO strap, which to me, I don't really wear watches on NATOs, but it is a very good quality NATO strap, very well put together. And it comes with a tool to adjust the bracelet. And let's jump straight into the size of this watch. The case here is 43 millimeters. It has quite a tubby wide 15.6 millimeters, and that is a big number. And a lot of people are going to think that's huge, but for some reason it just seems to fit with this watch. Because it's a tool watch, a dive watch, I don't seem to have a problem with that. Other watches I've found that a little bit too wide, but this one, perfectly fine. I actually don't mind it whatsoever. The lug-to-lug is 49 millimeters, but even though it has female end links, they do stick out a little bit. So there's an effective lug-to-lug of 51.4 millimeters. It comes with a 22 millimeter lug width, and on this supplied lovely bracelet, like a standout feature bracelet. It comes in a nice hefty 197 grams. Yes, that's right, 197 grams. For me, I like a heavier watch. I like having some weight on my wrist, but you need to keep that in mind if you don't particularly like that. It is a standout feature for me because it feels solid and hefty and lovely on wrist. But for some people, that might be actually a little bit more than what they actually want on their wrist. Now, this watch does come in a couple of different colorways. You can get it in a black variation, a black and orange variation, and a blue and white. Now, as I mentioned, I probably would have gone the black if I'd bought this watch new, but it would have been a mistake because this color variation, this blue and orange, is particularly nice, and I like it so much now that it should have been my first choice. I'm very impressed by these colors. It's not too bright, it's not too sort of stand out, but it is lovely. Now, as you can see, I don't even have this in the correct position, and that sort of plays with my mind. So let's move that. That is much better. We've got the 15-minute track there in the orange. We have blue on the surround. We have a dark blue dial there. It's like a sort of a plastic sort of molded, which you'll then see the indices are sort of molded into that as well. So they do stand out in a 3D manner, but they're sort of a molded part of the dial. Heaps of lume in there. What I particularly like, look at the skeletonized hands. They're also that dark blue with the orange, and there's even orange on the end of that second hand. Printed on there, we have the Helm logo, we have divers 300 meters, and yes, it's divers, meaning this is an ISO certified watch. And it absolutely is an ISO certified watch, which is fantastic. Automatic in white. We have the minute and hour track on a slightly raised sort of inner chapter ring there, as you can see. I'm not sure if that's part of the dial or another layer on top. There's quite a bit of a gap there, so quite a high depth in that rehort there, which is a sort of a brushed stainless steel. We have this nice, beautiful double dome sapphire crystal. and it's one of the nicest double dome sapphire crystals I've seen. It has a really nice look, and it really sort of tapers off from that bezel insert really well. That bezel insert obviously is also lumed. There is the orange there going into the dark blue, and it feels like it has a sapphire sort of insert on top of it as well. That bezel is also dead flat with a nice chunky surround. As I showed you just earlier, very nice action. It reminds me a lot of a Seiko actually. Zero backplay whatsoever, very easy to move, but nice and firm. Nice sort of that muted sort of clicking noise, which is what I expect out of a Seiko. Lines up very well. Yep. Yeah, I think I might have over-clicked that one. I know it does line up well, this particular one. Now the case, the bezel, the underneath, the case back, the bracelet, the clasp is all brushed stainless steel, which I think actually suits this style of watch very, very well. It's a tool watch, it's a dive watch. We don't need it to be fancy, we want it to do its job but look good. And brushed is exactly what I want on a watch like this. The case profile is really nice. It has like a bowl shape to it with the lugs coming down. They are drilled end lugs, making it easy to strap in between the bracelet as well as your NATO strap that you get with the watch. We have a screw down crown at the 430. It is completely unguarded, but it's nice and big and easy to grab onto. Inside here we have a Seiko NH38, which is the no date variant, which I'm glad. That means there is no ghost date position. But being a Seiko movement, we have hand winding as well as hacking. Now before we go any further, before I start testing out this on the Timegrapher, I need to show you a standout feature of this watch, and that is the lume. Now check this out. What an amazing looking lume there. The two different colors, the brightness of it, that orange, that bezel insert. Wow, it really stands out to me. And as you might know from watching my videos, lume is not the most important thing to me in a watch. However, I certainly do appreciate it when it is particularly good. And in this watch, it is particularly good. But let's now see how that Seiko movement is on the Timegrapher. So here we have another great set of figures from a Seiko movement. It is vibrating at 21,600 vibrations per hour, minimal beat error, hanging around 250 amplitude, and it's sort of moving sort of between 0 and -4. Now that is a good set of figures, and I absolutely always expect a reasonable set of figures from a Seiko movement. So let's talk about another standout feature about this watch. These solid end lugs and this bracelet, in particular the bracelet. This is one of my favorite bracelets that I've ever actually come across. It's just particularly well put together, well finished, looks really good. Solid end links, oh yeah, very, very tight. There is zero movement. And it integrates really nicely into those lugs as well. It's sort of really well designed there. You can see at that angle, they fit in really nicely. Very nicely put together links, all brushed as I mentioned previously, but it just looks fantastic. A tiny little bit of taper down to a really nice solid clasp. Has the Helm logo, heaps of micro adjust there. Everybody's going to get a good fit on this. Except for I have one problem, and I've continued to have this problem since I first got this watch. I figured out a solution, but it's still a little bit of a problem. When you take that up and you try and undo the watch, I can't undo it. Now, there is another trick you can pull from this end, but that doesn't work either. However, thankfully, if I put the safety latch down and I pull from this end, it gives me that little bit of purchase, and I'm able to open it up. So it hasn't actually been an issue. I think it's getting a little bit sort of easier to do as I go along. I'm wearing this watch a lot, and it's still a little bit difficult. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing, but take what you want out of that. As you can see within there, all milled, nicely put together, no divers extension. However, realistically, I'm actually okay with no divers extension, even though it is a dive watch. I find them as a little bit funny. I don't need it, so I'm okay with that. But let's check out what this one looks like on wrist. So it is a big, heavy watch with quite a high or tall amount of a case. So how does that look on wrist? Well, I think it looks good. I really like it. When you look down, it does look thick. You know, you put my finger up against it and it's sticking out above that. So it's not a small watch. It's not a light watch, but see how well it fits on wrist. It's nice. And does it feel bobbly on wrist? No, not really. You know, I like to wear them a little bit loose, so there is a bit of movement, but I'm not having the watch fall over on me at all. No. And I think it's because there's quite a bit of weight here in the bracelet and the clasp, and it really helps sort of even out the weight of this watch. I like to wear it a bit forward, which I like, wear it a little bit back. Yeah, just a fun watch to wear. Really well made, really well purposed, really interesting look to it, and fun colours. Yeah, I'm quite sold on this one. I think it is a good watch. So what do I like about it? What don't I like about it? And what would I change? Well, the big thing about this one that I like is the quality. This thing is made so well and it looks so good. Bracelet is absolutely stunning. Dial is lovely. Lume is fantastic. And it is fit for purpose. And it is at such an amazing price that it blows me away. But it's not a perfect watch. There's probably a couple of things that I would change. You know, even though I don't mind the thickness of it, it would be nice to bring it down a little bit. You know, I understand there's probably reasons for the thickness of the watch, but still having it down a couple of mil would be absolutely fantastic. The clasp, yes, it would be nice if I could actually pull that off easier, or even have the double pushes, which I always do prefer. A couple other little things, and they're only minor things, and to be honest, I probably don't actually need them, but if I'm being picky, I actually prefer a bezel that has a little bit of an angle to it. If that sort of came down just a tiny little bit, I think it would look a little bit neater. It would help with that thickness of the watch as well. However, looking at it, it does look fantastic, so it's not really a negative. I think you could use some crown guards. Well, maybe not crown guards, maybe semi-crown guards. Imagine if there's a half crown guard up there. Oh, I think that could kind of work, but it doesn't really need it. So maybe I'm just being picky, and maybe I'm just coming up with ideas that this watch doesn't actually need. But let me flip the camera around now and let me give you some of my final thoughts about this Khuraburi. So I've probably owned more dive watches or dive style watches than any other sort of style of watch. And I have to say, after now all that experience, after owning so many dive watches, after loving so many dive watches, I'm going to say that this is one of the best watches that I have come across, especially when you take into account the money. It is both affordable, well made, good looking, nice to wear on wrist, and it's just a good experience. And it's nice to be having it as a sort of a micro brand as well, because as good as it is to own a bigger brand, sometimes it's nice to have something a little bit different in the collection. Something that is styled a little bit different, something that looks a little bit different, something that feels a little bit different, and something that you just know when you got it on wrist that it is something rather special. And this watch is something rather special. So if you are on that waiting list for one of these watches, just wait patiently. You will enjoy this watch when it arrives. If you're not on a waiting list and you're thinking about one, well, it might be time to put yourself on that list or check out the secondhand market. The only issue I've had with the secondhand market for these helms is they tend to trade over price of what they are recommended retail. And as much as I like this watch, I don't think it's worth paying stupid amounts of money more than retail for them. But no matter how you're able to pick one up, whether you're like me, able to pick one up secondhand or get one new, I am sure you will enjoy this helm experience. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I always do appreciate it. I do hope to see you in the next video.